I'm Michael Shermer. Novelists offer deep insights into human psychology that often take psychologists years to test. In his 1864 Notes from Underground, for example, the Russian novelist Theodore Dostoyevsky observed, "Every man has reminiscences which he would not tell to everyone but only his friends. He has other matters in his mind which he would not reveal even to his friends, but only to himself, and that in secret. But there are other things which a man is afraid to tell, even to himself, and every decent man has a number of such things stored away in his mind." Intuitively, the observation rings true. But is it true experimentally? 20 years ago, social psychologists Anthony Greenwald, Mahzarin Banaji, and Brian Nosek developed an instrument called the Implicit Association Test, the IAT, that they claim can read your innermost thoughts that you were afraid to tell even yourself. And those thoughts appear to be dark and prejudiced. We favor white over black, young over old, thin over fat, straight over gay, able over disabled, and more. I took the test myself, as you can. Google Project Implicit. The race task first asks you to sort, by pressing keys, black and white faces into one of two categories, European American and African American. That's simple. Next, you're asked to sort a list of words, joy, terrible, love, agony, peace, horrible, wonderful, nasty, into either good or bad. Also easy. Then the words and the black and white faces appear on the screen one at a time for you to sort into either African American good or European American bad. The word joy, for example, would go into the first category, while the white face would go into the second category. This sorting process goes noticeably slower. Finally, you're tasked with sorting the words and faces into the categories European American good or African American bad. Distressingly, I was much quicker to associate words like joy, love, and pleasure with European American good than I did with African American good. The test's assessment of me was not heartening. Your data suggest a strong automatic preference for European American compared to African American. The interpretation is described as automatic preference for European American if you responded faster when European American faces and good words were classified with the same key than when African American faces and good words were classified with the same key. Does this mean I'm a closeted racist? And since most people, including African Americans, score similar to me on the IAT, does this mean we're all racists? The Project Implicit website suggests that it does. Quote, "When we relax our active efforts to be egalitarian, our implicit biases can lead to discriminatory behavior. So it's critical to be mindful of this possibility if we want to avoid prejudice and discrimination." Close quote. Well, I'm skeptical. First, unconscious states of mind are notoriously difficult to discern and require subtle experimental protocols to elicit. Second, associations between words and categories may simply be measuring familiar cultural or linguistic affiliations. Associating blue and sky faster than blue and donuts does not mean that I unconsciously harbor a pastry prejudice. Third, negative words have more emotional salience than positive words, so the IAT may be tapping into the negativity bias instead of prejudice. Fourth, IAT researchers have been unable to produce any interventions that can reduce that alleged prejudicial associations. A 2016 meta-analysis by Patrick Forscher and his colleagues, published on the Open Science Framework, examined 426 studies on 72,063 subjects and, quote, found little evidence that changes in implicit bias mediate changes in explicit bias or behavior, close quote. Fifth, the IAT does not predict prejudicial behavior. A 2013 meta-analysis by Frederick Oswald and his colleagues in the journal Personality and Social Psychology concluded that, quote, the IAT provides little insight into who will discriminate against whom, close quote. For centuries, the arc of the moral universe has been bending toward justice as a result of changing people's explicit behaviors and beliefs, not on ferreting out implicit prejudicial witches through the spectral evidence of unconscious associations. Although bias and prejudice still exist, they aren't remotely as bad as a mere half-century ago, much less half a millennium ago. We ought to acknowledge such progress and put our energies into figuring out what we've been doing right and do more of it. Thank you for watching. Check us out at skeptic.com and support our mission to promote science and critical thinking at Patreon.